Are you selling tickets? Well, yeah. You're supposed to be selling. Yeah.
Did you see our fishbowl?
I did.
You set up.
Yes, I am. I need change.
Richard, would you go around the side and swing down, sweet chariot, stop and let me ride. Swing down, sweet chariot, stop and let me ride. Rock me low, calm and easy. I got a home on the other side. Swing down, sweet chariot, stop and let me ride. Swing down, sweet chariot, stop and let me ride. Rock me low, calm and easy. I got a home on the other side. Swing down, chariot, swing down, chariot, swing down, chariot, swing down, chariot. Way down in yonder in the middle of a field of glory, 16 characters are working at a wheel, or will they? We're so particular about working at a wheel, or will they? Just want to see how a chariot feels. We know that. I don't know, we know that. I don't know whether the streets are heaven. They are paved with gold, and you can talk about me just as much as you feel, and I'll talk about you down on my knees. Swing down, sweet chariot, stop and let me ride. Swing down, sweet chariot, stop and let me ride. Rock me low, calm and easy. I got a home on the other side. Swing down, sweet chariot, stop and let me ride. Swing down, sweet chariot, stop and let me ride. Rock me low, calm and easy. I got a home on the other side.
We invite you to take a seat. We kind of do a little bit of everything. We like a lot of folk music. We do traditional songs, some popular songs. If there's any that you know, please sing along with us. We've been known to do some children's songs.
Down in Carlisle, unless it were a man of honor and high degree. And there approached two loving soldiers, this fair lady for to see. The one be brave lieutenant, a brave lieutenant and a man of war. The other be a bold sea captain, captain of the ship named Conqueror.
Then up spoke this fair young lady, saying I can't be but one man's bride. But if you come back tomorrow morning, on this place we will decide.
She ordered her a span of horses in her command. And down the road these three did travel till they come to the lion's den. And there she stopped, and there she halted. These two soldiers stood gazing around, and for the space of half an hour she lay speechless on the ground.
When at last she did recover, threw her fan down in the lion's den, saying, which of you to gain a lady will return her fan again?
Then up spoke brave lieutenant, and he raised his voice loud and high. He said, I am a true lover of a woman, but I will not give my life for love. No, I won't. Then up spoke bold sea captain, and he raised his voice loud and high. He said, I am a true lover of this woman, and I will return her fan or die.
In the lion's den he boldly entered, in the lion's den, both wild and fierce. He marched around, and in a moment safely returned her fan again. And when she saw her true love coming, see no harm been done to him, she threw herself against his bosom, saying, here's the prize that you have won.
Again. Now there you go, you're crying again. But then one day when your poor heart is on a man, I might just
Very good.
away again. That's what you get for loving me. That's what you get for loving me. Everything you had is gone, as you can see. That's what you get for loving me.
We'll start in 5 minutes. Please gather at the in front of the stage for the walking tour. Lester Breininger, Robesonia's own walking tour, Ruin, is going to conduct this tour. And now back for one last song from the Mosers. Thank you so much, Mosers.
Went away for leisure, might not come back anymore. again. There's honey on that far distant, distant shore. Honey on that far distant shore.
In front of the stage. Anyone who wants to go along, and everybody else is welcome for this very special event. It's a blue ribbon event, and we have Carrie Moan, our local historian representative, or
Robesonia furnace. This marker is one of 1,500 markers around the Commonwealth that has been sponsored since 1946 by the Historical Museum Commission. This is one of the many programs that the Historical Museum Commission of Pennsylvania sponsors. Pennsylvania has one of the largest, if not the largest, state history programs in the country. And I think the reason for that is the fact that for many years, Pennsylvanians have understood the value of preserving their history. And even on a more local scale, I believe that through the efforts of two well-known local historians who were very persistent in their efforts, they were able to get this new marker here today to replace an older marker that had been missing for many years. But the new marker is special because it has a more updated and more appropriate wording on the marker. And I believe that this gathering here today for the Friends of the Robesonia Furnace is just an indication of how we Berks Countyans, particularly here in western Berks County, understand the value of preserving our heritage. And that's why this marker is here today, because of that dedication to that. Just want to make one note. Last year there was a book published by the Historical Museum Commission that was updated all the inscriptions on the markers around the Commonwealth. It's a guide to the historical markers of Pennsylvania, and it is available from the Historical Museum Commission. All 1,500 markers are located in here. This, by the way, is one of 50 markers in Berks County alone, this new Robesonia marker. Yeah, let me add that the marker at one time stood at the corner of South Church and Penn Avenue, and will now be erected at the corner of Penn Avenue and Freeman Street, where I think it'll have more visibility and probably be a little safer there. And also, in the future, I don't know the date of this, there will be a more formal dedication of this marker when it is actually put in place. So you're certainly all invited, if you can attend, to come to that. Mark Scoot.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moen, for coming to join us this morning. The marker, which was missing and lost, and we were fighting for years to get it, and 6 weeks ago I drove down here and sitting in my yard, I said, what the heck's in my yard? And here was the old marker. I have no idea where it was or where it came from, and nobody knows, and I'm not asking any questions. But it's propped up down here. If you want to look at what the old one, the wording is better. I think they changed the wording a little bit in that book. I mean, they added a line after the book was printed, so it won't match exactly. But we're very happy to have it finally, and it'll be erected in the hopefully near future. Thank you, Mr.
Is it a bronze thing? Or
no, it's aluminum.
It's aluminum.
All the markers are aluminum.
But he already has the thing here to put it on the top of the pole. Okay, the walking tour will start right over here.
Oh, I don't know.
You're far from close.
Yeah, I know that.
There's one down at Newtown for Fort Zeller. Their daughter Polly married the Reverend Emmanuel Schultz. So actually, Schultz, Conrad Weisner Schultz's great-grandfather, John Schultz, born up there at the parsonage.
He had some impressive
Family. Senators, and Henry Muhlenberg signed the Bill of Rights.
Yeah.
Weisner's grandson. His brother, John Peter Gabriel, was a senator and congressman.
And in the 40s, I guess the 40s, we had
Walter, you want me to carry it? And how it's painted this morning.
You can tell your daddy how you thought of him all morning. Thank you.
Yay! Can I see it? Oh, that's nice. Yeah, very good. Good job.
Turn around.
Okay.
Maybe a white one.
Everyone done? That was fun.
What color do you want?
Welcome to the Robesonia Furnace Festival.
Yeah, I saw.
But more of those. No? Want anything else?
Can put some more stuff.
Oh, okay, but he's upside down.
He's standing on his head. All right. There's a paper towel for you.
Oh, so what else?
Anything else? No.
Done.
Why don't you guys go blow some off?
Oh, that.
That one? What is it? A number one, which is a troll. What color do you want? You can put them on. You can put them on a pencil.
The blue one, blue?
What color? It's like they're on top of your pencils. Or you can put your,
Or you can put some keys on.
put it on your belt.
That's what we need. Real bobber.
Magic wand, and I'm gonna hand it to you, but it's so new, I don't want you to bend it or wait or shake it or let it wiggle, okay? Hold it nice and tight, and make sure it doesn't wiggle. Randy, what happened to my magic wand? Look here, Randy. You got his two hands on, make sure it doesn't wiggle. Here, put your hand away here. Wait a minute, what happened to my magic wand here, Randy?
It's not
Take the magic wand over here, and I'm gonna get another one, but this is so new that I got it in the magic shop, but you know what? It doesn't work, Randy. You know why? Because the guy at the magic shop said if I put my hand up in the air like this, and everybody puts their hands up in the air, and wiggle your fingers up here and shake your hand just a little bit, that this is supposed to get a big red flower on the end of the magic wand, but every time I do it, see that? It never happens. Should we do it again? Yeah. Okay. Put your hands up again and put your magic on and make your hands go in a circle. Let's see if we... You guys see the magic?
Yeah!
No, it isn't.
It's not magic!
Where is it?
It's not magic!
No, it isn't. I'm going to show there's nothing on the other side. Look at there. There's something on that side.
I want to say
No, it isn't.
It's not magic.
It's not magic?
Yes!
I don't think. One more time. Put your hands up and make the magic go.
I'll put my hand up.
See the magic up. magic wand and put it back because the next time I go to the magic shop, I'm going to take it along. Is that okay? But I got another magic wand and I'm going to hand this one to you, Randy, okay? Take it nice and tight. Randy, what are you doing to my magic wand, Randy? Wait a minute. All three of them and put them under your arm, Randy. And I'm going to let Randy, here, I'll trade you, Randy. You take this one, and I'll take these, and put that one in your right hand, and hold it up in the air, Randy. And everybody put your hand up and say abracadabra. Because we're going to take the magic wand, and we're going to put it right through. Randy, can we put it right through the balloon? We said the magic wand. Why don't we take it right here? And here, you hold it. Boy, does he a helper, isn't he, huh? Okay, and just put your finger in your ear here. And everybody, one more time, abracadabra. Wait a minute. Look, Randy, what did you do today?
There's a hole in it.
Wow, we're going to let you hold it. Did that go through the balloon?
No, let's see the hole.
What's the matter?
Let's see the hole on the other side.
What hole do you want to see?
On the other side.
What's your name? Adam, don't you believe we really did that? I tell you what we're going to do. Just to make you a believer, I'm going to give you the balloon, okay? There it goes. Look at it. Hey, let's give them both a big hand. Adam and my buddy Randy over here. Let me get Randy.
1961 Chevy Impala. (1956) Buick. 1963 Chevy 2. 1957 Chevy Bel Air. 1929 Model A Ford. 1950 Ford. 1950 Ford. 1931 Ford.
57. I had a
It isn't awful I remember stuff.
Right.
Of the Circus Office building, local craftsmen have displayed. Don't miss this. This is a real treat. Action painters. Leave everybody.
I mean, it already ran out of I can't understand that. I said, damn this I can write, not the roof right and
Entertained by a handsome group in green and white check shirts and lederhosen. You should check the knees. And they are going to offer a bit of Jubel, Trubel, and Heiderkeit.
How do I feel? Check 1, 2, 3, 4.
Thank you. Welcome to the Friends of the Furnace Society here at Robesonia. We're the Rhinelanders. We're going to entertain you up till 2:30 this afternoon, doing many of your German, Austrian, and Pennsylvania Dutch numbers, and we'll work some English numbers in too. If you have any requests or any anniversaries, well, we'll help celebrate them with you. Just jot them down on a piece of paper and leave us hear about it. We're going to slow the tempo down now with the waltz from Austria called the Heimatglocken.
okay?
Yeah, there's room for you when you get
I
here.
said I'm usually waiting an hour.
I took water from her, that's about it.
Over there where John I'll be back down. I just want to say hi
Where's Grace this year? Where's Grace this year?
But we weren't charged.
So how are you? You look good. Good. I always check on you. You see your son and see how the seniors are doing. I saw you out there cutting.
See, they only see what they want to see.
Yeah, but you had them to the back.
They always listen. I was the overseer.
Oh, this is
I remember when they used to
no. This is something on.
You don't remember when I was a tan, do you? No.
Sure it does. It is her.
The winning cakes, they are over here by the stage. You can check them out before you bid on them at the auction at 3 o'clock. Let me also remind you, please, that the trolley ride tickets must be purchased before you get on the trolley, and the tickets are for sale at the registration membership booth.
Second. Layer cake. What's under here?
The bubble stuff and then pull them back.
Wow, that was a big one.
Okay, now pull the string back, straighten it out. Now take it over
Slowly
there.
go around. Yeah, like that.
Don't tangle up. Bang it, don't sling it.
So what'd you do? Just put a bid on a place? You didn't buy it. It's not finalized. It's just your bid is in and...
You buy it? Yeah. Are you ready?
No, I don't think I do that.
You need some more? You know how you get mine? Say aye, 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 aye. you gonna help me? Aren't you gonna help me? That's how we get them up. What do you say now? Hello. Are you next? What do you want? You want a blue? Huh? What kind of?
Look who's there! Look who's there!
And a camera.
Hold on, I'm gonna try something. Do it under your leg!
Under my leg.
Yeah, do it under your arm.
That one doesn't work so good. I'm burning my arms. Can't have
Do it
that.
under your arm again.
What's that?
I didn't see you when you did it under your arm. Camera.
I don't know how to do that one.
You just did it.
That was it. There you go. Thank you. Soldier applause to minimum. Hey.
You see that?
I don't.
Wait, James, come here. Jay, come here.
What flavor lollipop?
Don't hurt us.
Turn around, smile.
Yeah? If you go over there, how does he make them? Well, he ties the balloons together. I don't know. I guess he took a class on how to make balloons. These are my markers. Welcome to the Robesonia Furnace Festival.
This will include all of the furnace homes, the Baronkoff farm, the whole schmear. So, $2.50 for your ticket. You must have it before you board the trolley. It will be leaving in a few minutes. There will be a second and third tour. The second one will be in about 35 minutes. And the third one will be 35 minutes after that. So come join the trolley tour if you're interested. Get your tickets at the registration desk, $2.50.
I'd say she can't keep up with you.
Who knows?
Sure. Yes. We'll sit close.
Is this too much? You want to sit over? I'm going to sit over here, I think.
Are there any seats left here?
I don't know how many.
Maybe. Oh, that's yours, Sarah. Your seat. Oh, you have a seat. There'd be room for one back here.
But she's I think it's more like a motor.
You got one this morning, you can give this back again.
It's a long.
We gotta share more or less. Unless they have enough now.
All right.
I've seen it before.
Okay, I think we're ready for Merritt. I just want to tell you a little bit about Merritt. He was born in Robesonia but left and became a funeral director in Trapp, Pennsylvania. Of course, the appeal of Berks County kept on pulling at him, and upon his retirement, he again moved back, but this time to Burnville. He is again active in our community and is a member of St. Paul's. Did you ever hear a comedian preach a sermon or hear a joke before a church service? I've been lucky enough to hear both. Not all the corn in Robesonia is in the field. Merritt is known far and wide for his Pennsylvania Dutch humor, quoted in Reader's Digest, Pennsylvania Folklife, and many newspapers for both his keen wit and storytelling ability with that Pennsylvania Dutch twang. Merritt makes everything funny. We know you will agree. Ladies and gentlemen, Merritt Freeman.
Thank you, Donna. Now geht's off. Oh, I forgot we have to talk English today. Isn't this a grand event for the community-minded, spirited people of Robesonia come out to make a couple bucks, let's be honest with one another, but to perpetuate the Robesonia furnace? I think it's great. I left Robesonia in 1943, moved back to 1988. In moving back, I like to reminisce about my childhood days, and you folks remember this. Remember the Halloween parades we used to have on Penn Avenue? All the drum and bugle corps. Remember the Port Carbon drum and bugle corps? They'd all get soused up, parade through the streets until 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. And you remember these parades were quite lengthy. 2 hours for the parade to go through town, you know. Well, one Halloween night, parade had just passed by, and little Johnny and Cheeky were rooching around on the curb. Now, there's a word you don't hear much today, is rooch. 3 hours long. And Johnny and Cheeky get off the curb and they rub their hinadale desk, you know. They rub their hind end and they pull their pants from their fanny. And Johnny says to Cheeky, says, "Gee whiz, Cheeky, that was a long parade. My little hiney went to sleep sitting on the curb." His friend says, "I know it did. I heard it snore." And of course, you folks remember this. Not too many years ago, the Pioneer Hose Company housed a brand new pumper. Well, you know, when they have an event like this in a small town like Robesonia, here this beautiful fire apparatus is on the ramp of the firehouse, and a big bouquet of flowers tied on the front bumper, all the banners and all the flags flying from the fire station. And of course, they have all the big shots and all the politicians there. And of course, for an event like this, Pastor George Miller was there from the Reformed Church, and he offered the opening invocation. And the priest, Father Murphy from the Catholic Church, he's there, and he gets the holy water out of his pocket like this, and he goes around the fire truck, and he sprinkles the fire truck with holy water. And the rabbi, he cut off the tailpipe. That takes a little time. You know, they accuse us Pennsylvania Dutch of having friction with our diction. We have problems with the V's and the W's, the SCH's. And I like to say, I said, Dutch. Well, let's be honest with one another. We're not Dutch, we're German. We're German. But no one can say this like a Pennsylvania German from Berks County, Lebanon County, Northampton County, Lancaster County, and the Lehigh Valley. The Pennsylvania Volunteers advanced on the Regis and Vicksburg Valley and fired volley after volley into the ravine. And then they ate Campbell's vegetable soup and vomited all over their vests. Now here's a story you can have friction with your diction. Mrs. Viper. Now I said Viper, I didn't say Viper. Viper. Now you folks know what a viper is. A viper is a snake. Of course, for an addict like I am, Cleopatra's Downfall, the asp, A-S-P. You folks all know, my friends, that snakes, they live in pits. One morning, Mrs. Snake says to her baby snake, she says, "Kids, I'm going into town to do the shopping today. I want you to stay home here today and hiss in your own pit today. I don't want you going out and hiss at other people's pits." So she goes on her shopping tour, and these snakes are hissing in their pit, you know. Pretty monotonous, pretty boring. One says, hey, let's go to Mrs. Potts' pit and hiss in her pit for a while. So they go to Mrs. Potts' pit, and here these little snakes are hissing in Mrs. Potts' pit, and Mrs. Potts comes out and says, hey, nothing doing, you don't hiss in my pit, you go back and hiss in your own pit. So they go back and they're hissing in their pit, you know, and of course Mom comes home from our shopping tour. Well, kids, how'd you make out here today? Well, we were home here today, hissing in our own pit today, got pretty monotonous, pretty boring. We thought we might go to Mrs. Potts' pit and hiss in her pit for a while. But Mrs. Potts says we couldn't hiss in her pit, we had to come home here and hiss in our own pit. So Mrs. Snake says, well, I'm surprised at Mrs. Pot. I've known Mrs. Pot for a good number of years, and I remember the day when Mrs. Pot didn't have a pit to hiss in. And looking among my audience out here, I see some old friends. Kenny Yo. Where's Kenny? Back there. Did I tell you about Kenny and Deanie, his wife? Kenny and Deanie were watching television one night, leisure moments, you know, and all of a sudden Deanie says, Kenny, whatever happened to our sexual relations? And Kenny says, gee, I don't know. I don't think we even got a Christmas card from him last year. Then I saw my friend Sterling Kepley. Sterling's got a problem, a medical problem, elimination. So of course Sterling goes to his family physician, and he's there in the doctor's office, and the doctor says, well, Sterling, do you urinate every day? He says, yep, every morning at 7 o'clock, no problem. Well, he says, Kenny, he says, do you have a bowel movement? He says, yep, every day at 8 o'clock. No problem. And the doc says, well, Sterling, you sound pretty regular. What seems to be your problem? He says, I don't get out of bed at 9 o'clock. Of course, my old schoolmate, Bill Raybert, and Irene, you know, they were the first couple married in my class of 43, from Robesonia High. 50 years next year. 50 years. Well, you know, Bill is quite a fisherman. And one morning, Irene goes down to the Dutch Way Farm Market on the end of Robesonia, and he sees a neighbor lady in there. And Irene says to Mary, Mary, I don't know what to do with Bill. Every morning, this is every morning, he's in the bathroom, and he stands in front of the toilet, and he has his fishing boots on up to his waist. He's got his fishing vest on with all his ties and flies hooked on the front. He's got his cap on with his license pin there, and there he stands in front of the toilet with his fishing rod, casting and reeling in the fish right out of the toilet. So Mary says to Irene, it sounds like you better take Bill to see a psychiatrist. Irene says, she says, I don't have time. I'm too busy cleaning the fish. Have you taken notice of the kind of stories I like to tell? We call it earthy humor. Earthy humor. This is something indicative. It's part of the Pennsylvania German heritage. It's our reputation. You know, we like to tell the outhouse type of story. We like to refer to the Hinnadale, the hind end a lot. But let me remind you, my friends, you never hear the hardcore, the raunchy jokes in Pennsylvania German. Never. Cuties, but never that hardcore stuff. A good story I've been telling on the banquet circuit for the last 2 years, and I saw all the baked goods over here. What do you ladies do when you have card club at your house? The morning of the event, you bear down and you bake your finest, your best piece of pastry, or your best cake. Well, here the lady of the house had pulled the cake out of the oven, and came time to put the icing on the cake, and she wanted to put on these silver confectioner's balls. I think you ladies call them jimmies or something. She goes to her kitchen cabinet, and she's all out of stock. They're all gone. So she calls Junior from us. She says, Junior, hop on your bicycle, go down to the Acme, and get me some of those silver confectioner's balls. So Junior hops on his bicycle, he goes down to the Acme, he goes back to the counter where they have all the confectionery goods, you know, and all the sugars and all the flours, and they're all out of inventory. Junior says, oh, what the heck, Mom won't know the difference. I'll give her a pack of my BBs. She serves the cake with no repercussions, but sure as shooting the next morning the phone rings. Mary, what did you put in that cake? She says, what's the problem? Well, this morning I got out of bed, bent over to pet the cat and shot the canary. Where's Gung Ho Put? Where's Raymond? Raymond, stay off. Hey, come up here, Raymond. Come on up here. Come on up here, Raymond. I won't embarrass you. Come on up here. Come on up here, Raymond. Come on, you guys. Brought him up. You know, they talk, I always like to say there's 4 traits of a Pennsylvania Dutchman, a German. Wir sind dumm, wir sind Deutsch, wir sind Lutherisch und demokratisch. Dumb, Dutch, Lutheran, and democratic. I'm going to tell you about being dumb. Raymond and his wife went over to New York City 2 weeks ago. Some special event. They went to go live it up, you know. They went to the finest hotel on Madison Avenue, the Roosevelt. Well, here Raymond and his wife are quartered in the Roosevelt Hotel, you know, and Raymond's got to go to the men's room. So he goes to the men's room, and of course there on the wall is one of these machines that dispense these sanitary toilet seats, you know, like this. So Raymond puts a dime in the machine, and out comes the sanitary toilet. Out comes the sanitary toilet seat. So Raymond puts it around his neck like this, and he goes out of the main dining room and orders lobster. Thank you, Raymond. Do me Deutsch. Now I'm going to tell you about being dumb. My son isn't Dutch. He don't even know a word of this lingo. Oh, a couple words, you know. But we have the cutest little granddaughter now, Sarah. A couple of weeks ago, I went to Souderton, where they live. And my son Carson and I are sitting there in the living room watching television. And little Sarah's trotting around there with nothing on except her paper diaper, you know. There she is, hot, you know, and I smelled this diaper. And this thing got worse with the heat. Got continued. I finally smelled you could see the old fumes coming from the diaper, you know. And I said to my son Carson, I says, Carson, don't you think it's time to change Sarah's diaper? He says, it's not time yet. I says, what do you mean it's not time? Well, it says there in the Pampers box, good for 15 to 20 pounds. I get up to Hazelton a lot, up to Gus Genetti's, nice dinner theater there now. And I always leave early when I have an event like that. Next to Gus Genetti's is Holiday Inn, dining across the old 309 Pike, as they call it, is a real nice diner. So I go to the diner and have a cup of coffee to kill some time before I was supposed to go to Gus's. And I'm sitting there at the counter, drinking my coffee, and comes one of these smart aleck truck drivers. Just alongside of me. Waitress comes with the truck driver, says, what would you like to have? He says, give me 4 hubcaps, 2 headlights, and an oil change. What? He says, I want 4 hubcaps, 2 headlights, and an oil change. She says, we don't have such a thing. He says, oh yes, you do. Go back in the kitchen and get it. So the waitress goes back in the kitchen where the chef is preparing the meal and says, hey, that truck driver out there says he wants 4 hubcaps, 2 headlights, and an oil change. We don't have such a thing. Chef says, we certainly do. She says, what do you mean? He wants 4 pancakes, 2 eggs sunny side up, and a cup of black coffee. So the waitress goes out of the diner and she sets a big bowl of bean soup right in front of the truck driver. The truck driver says, what's a big idea? I didn't order that. Well, she says, I thought while you were waiting for the spare parts, you'd like to gas up a little bit. You know, the kick today is for elementary school teachers to take their kids out on educational bus tours. They go to the zoos, the institutes, the museums, you know, at the end of the school season. 40 kids, the teacher, the driver, they leave home early one way on the way to the zoo. And of course, 10:30 or so, it came time for the usual comfort stop. So she has the bus driver stop the bus, and she gets the kids on the parlor. She says, now kids, go do your business. Don't poke around. We want to be at the zoo at 1 o'clock. Go do your business and get back here in the bus. And she says, girls, over there around the corner is the girls' room. And in order to save time, if you boys line up here in a row, I'll take care of your zippers. So the boys all line up, you know, like this, and she goes down the line and opens zippers. She finally says, my, you have a long zipper. He says, I should have. He says, I'm the bus driver. The circus comes to town. What's the advance party do for the circus? They always advertise in your local gap sheet, the newspaper, that they need people to keep clean, bed down, feed and water the animals. So, of course, they ordered an ad for the paper. They advertised for a man to keep and clean the elephants. And this fellow applied for the job, and the circus boss is taking around acclimating with the workers of the circus. He says, now these are the elephants that you must take care of right here. And he says, there on the ground is the garden hose. That's what you use to wash the elephant, the hose. And this particular elephant we have right here is the most intelligent elephant we own. He'll do anything you tell him to do. All you got to do is call him by his name, and his name is Nuts. Nuts the elephant. And you say, down Nuts, and Nuts will get down, and you take the hose, and you wash his backside. You say, roll Nuts, Nuts will roll, you wash that side. You say, roll Nuts, Nuts will roll, you wash the other side. You say, up Nuts, and you stand underneath like this, and you wash his underside. He's on the job 5 minutes, and he goes to the boss, he's sopping wet. Soaked to the gills. He says, I don't want this job. The boss says, what's the problem? He says, I'm out there with Nuts the elephant and a hose. And I say, down Nuts, Nuts gets down, I wash his backside. I say, roll Nuts, Nuts rolls, I wash the other side. I say, roll Nuts, I wash the other side. I say, up Nuts, and there comes the guy through the tent yelling, Peanuts! Remember Pat Kinser's farm? He had a pigsty down there, right as you went down the hill side of the barn. We kids would stand there with the BB guns and shoot them in the rear end. And they'd sit there, they'd stand there at the trough, you hit them with a BB gun, they'd just pop behind end and come up like that a little bit. Well, all the farmers in this area raised pigs, you know, and made quite a lucrative living raising pigs. Well, this one farmer in this area had a litter of pigs one morning, and in this litter of pigs he had the finest sow he ever saw. He knew that this would be a blue ribbon winner if he found the proper boar to breed the sow with. So in 9.5 to 10 months, which is the time that they breed pigs, came about, he calls his friend that joined the farm. He says, hey, he says, you have a prize-winning boar with. He says, I have a sow here that's the finest sow. He says, I ever saw as a pig race farmer. But he says, we breed my sow with your boar. He says, we'll make some money. He says, bring her over, but don't put your pig in your truck. Put him in the wheelbarrow and bring him over. So he puts the sow in the wheelbarrow, hauls him across the field, puts him in the pen with the boar for an hour or so, puts him back in the wheelbarrow. He says to his friend, he says, how do I know if this is going to be a take or not? Well, he says, tomorrow morning you look out in your pig pen. If your sow's eating grass, that's a no take. But if your sow's rolling in the mud, happy day, we're in business. He looks out in the pig pen the next morning and that sow's eating grass. It's a no-go. Calls his friend, he says, well, bring her over. So he puts the sow in the wheelbarrow, hauls her across the field, puts in the pen, takes her back home in the wheelbarrow. The next morning he looks out in the pig pen and that sow's eating grass again. Calls his friend says, well, bring her over, try the third time. The third morning, puts her in the wheelbarrow, hauls her across the field, puts in the pen, puts it back in the wheelbarrow. His friend says, I'll call you tomorrow morning to see what your sow's doing. So the next morning the phone rings. He's at the kitchen table having his coffee and toast. And here's his friend. He says, what's your sow doing? He says, I didn't look yet. He says, well, go to the window and look. So he goes to the window and look, gets back on the phone. He says, what's your sow doing? Is it eating grass? No. Is it rolling in the mud? No. Well, what's it doing? Sitting in the wheelbarrow? President Bush got a problem. He's got to protect his presidency, you know, with the election coming up in November. And to remedy this, he's visiting all of these poor people, the hovels that they live in, the slums. He's going out, he's out in the western part of the country with all on the Indian reservations. And there he is on a podium, a lot of Indians out there, thousands of them. And there he is bragging. He says, I promise you that the American government is going to take the American Indian out of your slums and out of your hovels. And all the Indians go, oop gullah gullah, oop gullah gullah. He says, I promise you that your children are going to get the same education as all the children in the eastern part of the United States. And the Indian says, gullah gullah, gullah gullah. He says, I promise you that come the first of every month, your checks will be in the post office, your relief check. Gullah gullah, gullah gullah. He finishes his speech and he's walking around with the chiefs, you know, shaking hands as all the politicians do. And over there in the corral is a real herd of prize bulls, beautiful bulls. And Bush says to the Indian chief, he says, is it all right if I go over there to the corral and look at those bulls you have over there? The chief says, go right ahead, but be careful that you don't step in the gullah gullah. Well, my friends, as I look at my watch, I've been up here for 20 minutes. Half an hour is my usual time. And at every event I get to, I think it's proper that we all have a little bit of something to take home, as I call it. It's called the meat of a speech. We all had a good time here today. We all had a bunch of belly laughs. I hope I contributed a little bit of something to the success of this annual event by tickling your funny bone, we call it. Making you laugh. But listen to this, my friends. Of all the laughter that existed here this afternoon, I hope comes about in your life on a daily basis. Listen to this. We, the American people, last year consumed over 3.5 million pounds of aspirin. That don't include the 2 pounds that my wife and I took. That doesn't include all the Maalox, all the Mylanta, all the antacids, that are striving to get into our digestive tracts. Everybody's living in an uptight world. Stress, strain, a pressure cooker, they call it. And as a result of you and I being here this afternoon, I'd like to give us all 4 little ways that'll help us all hang loose while the rest of the world goes nuts. If I were to hang loose while the rest of the world goes crazy, I'd check my sense of humor. I told you, you folks aren't laughing. But let's bear it down. What do you really laugh at? Just stories? Just jokes? But do some of you ever laugh at all? Usually every audience I get to, there's every audience, now I won't say this one. There's usually some little bitty old couple out there somewhere, and either during or after the old lady says, Freeman, let me see you make me laugh. And her husband sits there with a face that long, I'll swear he can eat oats out of a gas pipe. No communication enjoying that household. Their honeymoon must have been a real blast. Do you tell funny stories? People say, Freeman, I don't have the technique to tell stories like you. I don't have the accent. The accent is not important, believe me. Timing is the indescribable glory that contributes to the success of a funny story. Timing. Yes, and to be honest with you, people say, Freeman, where do you get your material? Do you ever read Playboy to get new jokes? And I tell these people I never read Playboy for the same reason that I never read National Geographic. They both have colored pictures of places I ain't ever going to get to. If I were to hang loose while the rest of the world goes crazy, I'd continue to dream a little bit. What happened to that childhood quality of dreaming that you and I used to do when we were that size? It doesn't exist anymore. Do you ever dream about the technology that's taking place in this world today? And you know what blows my mind? The technology is speed. A fellow was driving down the road leisurely one afternoon, 30 miles an hour, and looks in his rear mirror, and here's a chicken following him on the road. 30 miles an hour. Steps in the accelerator, 35, 40, 45, and there's that chicken. 50, 55, and the chicken comes broadside right alongside of the car. He looks out this window, and this chicken had 4 legs. Didn't have 2, it had 4. Steps in the accelerator, 55, 60, and the chicken passes him right in front of the car. He says, I'm going to follow that chicken. So he follows the chicken down this long country lane. He comes into a vast expanse of farmland. There's a farmer working. He says, hey, he says, you won't believe it, mister. He says, I just saw a chicken out here that runs like a racehorse. He says, oh, that's my chicken. He says, that's your chicken with 4 legs? Yep. He says, we raised him here. He says, my son's a graduate of the State University. animal husbandry school. They got all the genes and all the hormones just right. They now raise chickens with 4 legs. Everybody sits down now to eat chicken. Everybody gets a drumstick. He says, gee, a chicken with 4 legs, everybody gets a drumstick. He says, how do they taste? He says, I don't know, we haven't caught any yet. Now listen to this. As we're sitting here now this afternoon, up there on that planet Mars, there's 2 spider-like missiles that were blasted from this Earth. Now here's an incredible figure. This is what blows my mind. That were blasted from this Earth with a horsepower of 60 million. Traveled 245 million miles, landed on the surface of Mars, and the first 2 months of their existence up there, scooped up soil samples, analyzed them on the spot, and sent the result back to Earth in a matter of 18 minutes. That's really moving, friends. And you know what they said when the steam engine was invented? If man traveled any faster than 30 miles an hour, he'd suffocate to death. That's right. Come December 18th next, 89 years ago, not a real vast expanse of time, is it? The Wright brothers threw a distance of 211 feet in a matter of 17 seconds. And exactly 860 months from that same particular date, man was walking on the moon. That's what I read. What blows your mind out there? I know there's some friends out there of mine that go big game hunting. Upstate Pennsylvania, Potter County. These 3 fellows that own a hunting lodge in Potter County for 35 years. They always went trio. They never invited anybody to go on a hunting trip, realizing the fact that their cabin, their lodge, only had 3 cots, 3 bunks. They finally relented, invited one of their best friends to go on a hunting trip, realizing the fact they'd have to double up on their sleeping facilities. So they take off, and these 3 guys with their friend, 4 guys in the station wagon, Sunday morning on the way to the Potter County, loaded down with gear, bedrolled hunting equipment. They get to Potter County, unpack their gear, they have their evening meal, came time to retire. And one guy says, well, he says, a friend can sleep with me tonight. He comes down from the loft the next morning, he's straight. He says, I won't sleep with that guy anymore. He says, he snores out loud all night. It's impossible to get any sleep. Second guy says, well, he's mine am I. And the second guy comes down the next morning and he's pooped. He says, no more of that guy. He says, he snores out loud all night. It's impossible to get any rest. Third guy says, well, he's mine tonight. And the third guy comes down the third morning. He says, fellas, he says, I feel great. He says, I'm going to cook you breakfast. He says, we have eggs, we have hash brown potatoes, we have scrapple, pancakes, anything you like. And these 2 friends of mine, you got sleep with that fellow? Oh, yeah, no problem. You got rest with that fellow? He says, oh, yes, I feel great. But what you do? Well, we crawled into bed and we pulled up the covers. Then I reached over like this to turn out the light. Then I kissed him. Hell, he sat up in the chair all night. If I were to hang loose while the rest of the world goes crazy, I check my people attitude. Now I'm going to ask a question. Don't answer me vocally, please. When was the last time you told your spouse, your son, your daughter, your grandson, your granddaughter, your brother, your sister, your mother, your father, your grandfather, your grandmother, your niece, your nephew, your neighbor, that you downright loved them? Read Dr. Leos Piscaglia's book called Love, L-O-V-E, and you'll find that there's more to that 4-letter word than you can imagine. Destitute young couple in the community, down and out, pantry was bare, refrigerator was empty. The only thing the couple had was her 7-year-old son and his pet duck. Mom says, Junior, we must kill the duck, we must eat. You can't kill my duck's my best friend. He says, I love my duck. But we have to eat. Mom, I'll sell my duck. Go door to door, get a couple bucks for milk, bread. Mom concedes. Junior goes door to door. Want to buy my duck? Want to buy my duck? Want to buy my duck? Door to door. He comes on the porch of a house in town, front door's open. 7-year-old kid, they don't rap, they walk right in. He goes to the living room, and there on the sofa, the most compromising position is a man and a lady. He goes and taps the guy on the shoulder. He says, Mister, want to buy my duck? How'd you get in here? And just at that time, there's a car comes in the drive. The lady says, quick, you two, that duck had better get in that closet. That's my husband coming home. So this guy and this kid and their duck, they're sitting there in the closet. Mister, want to buy my duck? I don't want to buy your duck. He says, better buy my duck. He says, I'm going to yell, I'm going to scream. That guy's going to hear you out there.
says, all right, I'll buy your duck. He says, how much you want for a duck? He says, $100. $100 for a duck. He says, that's too much money. He says, better pay me $100. He says, I'm going to scream. That guy's going to hear you out there. The guy pays him $100, and they're sitting there and says, mister, I want my duck back. He says, here you are. He says, $1. He says, $1. He says, I just paid you $100. He says, better make a deal. He says, I'm going to yell. That guy's going to hear you out there. They make a deal, and Junior goes home and raves and rants to Mama what a wonderful salesman he was. And Mom says, Junior, it's uncouth to treat people like that. That's a bad way of doing business. You don't treat people like that. Tomorrow morning you go to confession and you confess to the padre what you did here today. The next morning the kid goes down to the church, he's in the confessional, in comes the priest. He says, now son, what can I do for you? He says, Father, it's about my duck. He says, listen kid, you're not going to send me that duck back again. If I were to hang loose while the rest of the world goes crazy, I'd check my own individual and personal convictions. You know, ladies and gentlemen, there's something out there, there's somebody that's responsible for all of this. Here we had one of the most glorious summers that we have experienced in many, many years. A couple more weeks we're going to embark on it, but all of these trees are going to be yellow, golden in color. Up there we have the clouds. Here on earth we have all this grass. We have the birds and the bees. We have cows. We have horses. We have dogs. We have cats. We have snakes. We have flowers. We have seas. We have lakes. We have oceans. We have life. And we have life after death. A fellow came back from the hereafter and he sees his best friend. He says, how are things up there? Oh, he says, the carrying on that the people are doing there, it's unbelievable. Why, the Jews, they're eating ham sandwiches, they're going out of style. And the Roman Catholic people, they're eating meat on vigil days and during Holy Week. And the Methodists, they're all go-go dancers. The Baptists are looking at obscene movies on their VCRs. And the UCC people, the old Reformed people, are looking at penthouse magazines. And the Presbyterians, they're all crocked. The Lutherans, they all play blackjack. And the Episcopalians, why, all the poor Episcopalians. All the Episcopalians are over there in one corner, all by themselves. They're all bored to death. They did all those things before they got there. Well, my friends, there you have it. Monday morning we go back to the jungle, we say. That's an old adage. And friends, I wish I could guarantee you that come Monday morning, everything is going to come up roses. It just doesn't happen that way. Everything does not come up hunky-dory, as we say. But I'll guarantee you one thing. Come Monday morning, tomorrow morning, and all the days of your life may be the best days of your life if you listen and you dream a little, laugh a little, love a lot, and believe in something bigger than yourself. And we'll all hang loose while the rest of the world goes crazy. I had a good time this afternoon. I hope you did. And in closing, may I ask, did I help or hurt today, dear Lord? Is any soul happier because I passed this way? Does anyone remember that I spoke to them today? When day is over and toiling time is through, will anyone utter a kindly word from me for you? I wonder, can I say today, and with this part day that's slipping fast, did I help a single brother over the many that I pass? Is he single-heart rejoicing over what I did or said? Is anyone whose hopes were fading, now with hope look ahead? Did I waste this day or did I lose it? Was it well or poorly spent? Did I leave a trail of kindness or a scar of discontent? And tonight, as I close my eyes in slumber, with all my heart I pray that God above will say, I've earned one more tomorrow by the speech I made today. Thank you. You're a grand audience, and I love you all.
you, Merritt. And you do have to agree that not all of the corn is in the field in Robesonia. How do you remember all of that? Now it's time to just bring you up to date with a few announcements. We'd hate to think that you were missing out on announcement time. Before too long, the trolley will return from the current tour, and we'll be ready for the next tour. Remember, you must get your tickets. That costs $2.50 at the registration booth. Shortly after 2 o'clock, out on the road here, there will be children's games again, and we will announce the beginning of the children's games, just so you know about that. Bingo is in operation. Don't forget we have local artisans who are showing and selling their wares on the other side of the furnace office. The kids' tent still has face painting, cookery decorating, pumpkin painting, and much more. Check the car show, and don't forget to visit all of the low-cal food booths we have. In the red and white striped tent, we have turkey barbecues, lemonade, beef ribble soup, and also we have chicken noodle soup.